In this presentation, we will take a look at help options within QuickBooks Pro 2019. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are on the home page. We currently have the open windows open within the home page. You can open the open windows by going to the View dropdown and Open Windows list. If you want to start entering data, you can do so by jumping forward to the section that starts with a 6 within the videos where we will start a new company file. We're working on the navigation at this time, working through where to go, in this case, when we need help within QuickBooks. There's a lot of different help options we can consider both inside the system and outside the system. First off, you might think that we'd want to help from the owners of QuickBooks from Intuit. The Intuit website, Intuit owns QuickBooks. We could have help from them. However, it depends on the package we set up in terms of how much help we're going to get. If we're going to call QuickBooks and see if we can get actual support there, then we would typically have to pay more. If we just bought the desktop version without the support, then we're not going to have that kind of support unless we pay for it as we go. So that's one option that we have. But because QuickBooks is so large and there's so many users of QuickBooks, there are typically a lot of other resources that we can find for QuickBooks. We can find QuickBooks professionals to help us out, people that we can pay to help us out, and or resources if we just go through the normal resources in terms of Googling QuickBooks or finding QuickBooks tutorials to help us out with particular problems we may have. Because QuickBooks is larger and has more of the market than many other softwares within their space, they do have a lot of help options related to them. Within the software, we have the help options, which normally can be found within the help dropdown. So if we select the help dropdown, if we have a technical question, we can type it in here. We've got the QuickBooks Desktop help. This is kind of like the user manual that we would have. For example, later in the course, we will set up a manual payroll setup. How do we set up payroll? And we can enter that information here, and it'll give us some checklists in terms of how we can set that up and narrow the information down. We can search by category, and it's pretty comprehensive and fairly easy to use question and answer type of setup here. So that's really the first place if we have a technical question that we can go to and try to figure something out. If we want to talk to someone and try to figure out why QuickBooks is doing or set up a particular thing, then we can look for QuickBooks professionals to help us to set up a system, which would probably be better than the support of QuickBooks unless we want just a technical question. In other words, if you have a question about the software, how the software works, where it's downloaded on your computer, and that kind of thing, technical questions related to the software, then the technical department of QuickBooks is probably very good to answer those types of questions. If, on the other hand, you want questions in terms of what is the software doing, why is this report generating this report, how does the income statement work, how do the items create the financial statements, and how do I set up items, then you may want to go to more of an accountant that uses QuickBooks. A QuickBooks professional who is an accountant might actually be better than the support. And there's a lot of course, those out there that can help out with that. They also have the new features here, and QuickBooks updates every year, so you can go to the new features and look at what the major differences are in the current software from the prior software. You could go to support here, and that'll go through QuickBooks support options, giving you some support options. Again, if you don't have the paid support, which you may not have if you bought just a desktop version without the supporting package, then you may have to pay for the support if you want to call and talk to someone within that system. And again, I would prefer to do that if it's an accounting question to somebody who is an accountant that uses QuickBooks rather than possibly even QuickBooks themselves. It might be easier unless it's a technical question. If we go into this support item here, then we will have the contact information that's going to be on the right. So if you go to the right, you've got the contact information. It also has some other information that will be formatted in a different format than we saw in the QuickBooks Desktop help. So if you go down here and you search by browse by topic, you can find some other topics and the frequently asked questions area here. Find a local QuickBooks Desktop expert. So these are people that could do that. So this would be QuickBooks experts that you could find, and QuickBooks could help you, and they go through the process of trying to trim down the field in terms of who would be best to support you here. So this is a good option to think about if you're looking for specific support related to QuickBooks that help you search for that. Send feedback, internet connection setup. So if you have a problem, a technical issue here, new business checklist. So this, if you're setting up a new business, you can think about, well, what does QuickBooks think I should do to set up the new business? And this will get into some of the QuickBooks related stuff and some stuff maybe that's not even software related. They'll get into what they think is best. And that's good. So it's a good checklist to think about. Year-end guide. The end of the year, of course, is something that most businesses have to go through and make sure they got everything set up. So it's another kind of guide that will help you through that year-end process. Add QuickBooks services. So if we want to add anything to QuickBooks, there's a lot of add-ons, including, for example, payroll is something that we can add to QuickBooks. So they're always happy to list out what they could add on there, of course. App Center, update QuickBooks Desktop. Again, it updates every year, typically. That's the norm. That's for a long time. So if we want to update to the next year, we can go here and do that. Now, note that you don't have to all the time, because the old software usually works fine for most purposes. Although QuickBooks at some point in time, like 2 or 3 years down the road or so, at some point will stop supporting the prior versions. And so you want to take that into consideration if you're using older versions of QuickBooks and decide whether or not you want to upgrade it. Manage my license, buy QuickBooks Desktop Premier, meaning you could upgrade. So which is nice. So if you're using the Pro version because you want to start off there and you think that suits your needs, and then you discover that you need to upgrade the desktop version, not difficult normally to upgrade within the desktop version. Little more difficult to upgrade and change from a desktop version to online. That transfer is not impossible. You can do it, but it's not as smooth as, of course, transferring from Desktop Pro and transferring to Desktop Premier. So you have that option. Reset Intuit ID settings, QuickBooks Desktop privacy settings, about automated update, QuickBooks Desktop usage and analytics system. And then about QuickBooks Desktop 2019 will give you just some more kind of general information. So of course, the main place you want to go here would be the help first, if you want to try to go through manual troubleshooting, and then probably find support if you want to talk to someone about it, technical issue, or if you have the supporting package from QuickBooks, then you can contact the support of QuickBooks. If on the other hand, you don't, and it's an accounting question, might be better to find an accounting professional who uses QuickBooks in order to see those types of questions. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.